Welcome back to MidPoint. Let's also resume with Libertarian candidate for governor of Iowa and U.S. Navy veteran Dr. Lee Hieb. Dr. Hieb, as a Libertarian candidate now, if you look at what's going on in Iowa, of course, Terry Brandt has a lot of money. Branstad, rather, I should say, has a lot of money. Jack Hatch has a lot of money. He's in there. How do you convince people then as a Libertarian in Iowa that you're the right person?
Well, it comes down to what you want for your children. I mean, quite frankly, Branstad owns the electoral process. There's no campaign being run by Jack Hatch. The only honest competitor for this office is me. And, I became a Libertarian when I realized that we have two big parties, and in spite of different words they may speak in public, in private, they get together and they grow government. And since my great-grandfather homesteaded here in 1871, Iowa government has gotten bigger and bigger. And this Republican governor has just given us the biggest budget increase in the state's history. So quit believing these words they're telling you and start looking at their actions. We need to get rid of Common Core in Iowa. We need to get rid of Obamacare state exchanges that are going to break the economic bank of Iowa. We need to deregulate the state because we're regulated to death, and we're taxed to death in Iowa. We're the #1 corporate tax, maybe in the world. We're the #1 corporate tax in America. I'm not sure how we got there. But we have to take back our state. So I tell people that in this election, you may not want to switch to be a Libertarian, but you should be more attached to your liberty and less attached to your political party.
Rand Paul is certainly trying to use a lot of Libertarians and bring them over to his side, and there's a lot of talk that he's the crossover candidate here. Are you then looking to be the crossover candidate, a compromise candidate? Who are you going after then? Because you do have to pull people either from the Republican or the Democratic side, and it would certainly seem more logical that as a Libertarian, you go after maybe disenchanted Republicans.
Well, that sounds true, but it's an interesting point that we actually pull from both sides equally. And Iowa's an interesting state. 1/3 of the people in Iowa are registered Democrats, 1/3 registered Republicans, and 1/3 are registered Independents or Libertarian. And I say that because they weren't registering Libertarians for a long time, so we don't know how many we are. But the point is, we only need, in a real three-way race, we only need 6% from the Democrats, 6% from the Republicans, and we could win. So this is not, and I have to tell you, there's different definitions of winning. The other thing is to wake the state up and have people realize, I'm a recovering Republican, I admit that. And for years, I just went through life believing their words. I just believed that they were the party of small government. But honestly, I hate to say it, but it appears to me now that I'm involved in this, that both parties are basically just using the principles of Saul Alinsky. The Republicans complain about them, the Democrats might not, but it's all about power. It's not about the issues anymore. And really, we can't afford to continue to grow government, and these guys are not looking at the health and welfare of the state or the country. They're looking at winning the next election. That seems to be all they're about.
All right, so as a doctor then, you got about a minute left here, and I want to make sure I ask you about Obamacare here because we have more health plans are going to be canceled under the Affordable Health Care Act. So at this point then, you're the candidate, you have a chance, you get into office, and you have a chance to make a difference. And how do you then make the difference and convince people this is not the right thing to do?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, there's no more culture of death than government-run health care that devalues people that aren't healthy and working and paying taxes. It's not just about the cost. It's about what it does to our ethics and our actual quality care. But here's what we need to do simply. We need to get rid of the exchanges, which will cost us $60 million a year before one iota of health care is given out. Get rid of the Obamacare state exchanges. Now, we may not be able to undo Obamacare at the federal level from my role. However, what we can do is make sure we always have a free market alternative. We make sure the Iowa Medical Board never makes a qualification for licensing that you must participate in Obamacare. We need to have people on the outside that take cash that can offer an alternative way of getting your medical care. So when this ponderous untenable system collapses, we still have health care. We still have doctors.
And a reminder that coming in January of 2015, Dr. Lee Hieb will have a book out, Surviving the Medical Meltdown, Your Guide to Living Through the Disaster of Obamacare. So I have a feeling we may be talking again between now and then. And certainly in your race for governor of Iowa, we wish you a lot of luck. And thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hieb.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Next hour here on MidPoint, those who believe the government is coming for your kids, whether you place them in their schools or not. And after the break, the power of Mother Nature bears down on Japan and an American military base. That and so much more coming up right here as we continue on MidPoint.